God's will for you and I has not changed. In all these many years of human existence, from the time God made Adam and Eve, his will for you, his will for me has not changed. And what is that will? Jesus said that there is a thief, and that thief comes not but for to kill, to steal, and to destroy. But this is what he said. He said, but I am come that you might have life. And I don't want to stop it there. He says, I want you to have life, and I want you to have it more abundantly. So in case you did not know, in case you forgot what it is that God intends for you and for me and for every single human being on the planet, he says that I have come that you might have life, and that you might have that life more abundantly. So if anybody starts to sing these songs to you that tells you that poverty is your destiny, you tell them that you know not the truth. And you teach not the truth, and you sing not the truth, and you rap not the truth, because Jesus said, I am come that you might have life, and that you might have that life more abundantly. But what is that life? What is that abundant life? Now here is where you and I have got to be careful, because the notion of abundant life almost instantaneously creates in our minds a thought that is material abundance. I got money going on. I got lots of things going on, and everything's going on in my life materially that I need. And it may well be some of that. But you know, one time the followers of John the Baptist was following behind Jesus, and when Jesus turned around and saw them, he said, what do you seek? And they said they want to go with him where he lived. This is the abundant life giver. Now listen to me. The abundant life giver said to them, foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man hath nowhere to lay his head. This is the abundant life giver, who hath not a personal home of his own. Jesus at one point needed to pay his taxes. He couldn't go in no treasury to a bank to go and get it. Couldn't go in his pocket to get it. He said, now Peter, you go down the road there by the river, and there's a fish. It's going to have some money for me and you. So if you look at the life of Jesus, there is nothing materially to indicate that he had what we might think is abundant life. He did not. But listen to this, says Paul. Perverse disputings of men, corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness, from such withdraw thyself. But godliness with contentment is what? Godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we can carry nothing out. And this is what Jesus said, for this is life eternal, that ye might know the true and the living God, and Jesus Christ whom he had sent. Now what am I saying to you? I do not despise if you end up with material abundance in this world. Lord, I pray you have all the cash you need. I pray you have all the house you need. I pray you have all the cars you need. But abundant life is being able to say with or without car, with or without cash, with or without fame, with or without popularity. I am content with the God-likeness I have.
Praise God.
And then you walk around and When the recession hit, you're smiling and people wondering why. And when the abundance comes, you're smiling and people are wondering why. Why you are the same in and out. Why you are the same with or without. Because I have learned to have godliness with great gain. With contentment. This is the great challenge for even the Christian community. Is that we don't demonstrate a difference to people when crisis come. Because we look just like them. When crisis comes, when lack comes, when challenges come, our disposition too oftentimes looks just like theirs. And so they don't get to see this abundant life that Jesus came to give. The one that he had, even with his lack of material things. God wants you and I to be content. To be content with the God-likeness he is trying to generate in us. And that abundant life can be yours. I am 50 years old. I have been all over the world. I have made money. I've lost money. I have won things, I've lost things, and all that. But you know, in this life right now, today, this is God on the street. I tell you no lie. I don't want a bigger house. In fact, I don't want no house. I don't want a bigger car, a better car. I don't want more money other than to pay my bills. Listen to me. When I tell you materially I am contented, I am contented. I don't want no more suit. I don't need nobody name brand shoes. I don't need nobody name brand shirt. And if I get a name brand shirt, it can come from Marshall's on sale. Amen. But I do want more godliness in my life. I do want to be more like Christ in my life. That's the God on the truth. I do want to strengthen up those weakened areas of my life because I want to learn to love with the perfection that Jesus loved with. I understand beyond anything else I could do for myself right now, I want to have an abundance of God's godliness in my life. And if the money comes, well, bless the Lord, I take that too. I'll take that too. You need a signal. Okay, there you go. Thank you, brother. You cannot have, and I cannot have, an abundant life without trust in God. It's not possible. The scripture says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. It is not possible to have abundant life without trusting God. I want you to know it is not possible to have the abundant life that Jesus promises without trusting God. And it doesn't matter how much money you see many people in this world have in the bank. It doesn't matter how many fancy homes and how cars and the like you see them driving. I assure you, none of them who have not trust in God lives an abundant life. An abundant material life is not an abundant life. They don't live it. In order to have abundant life, you have to have trust in God. And I'm going to teach you something about this trust and blow your mind a little later on. That's all right? So let's look at something. Trust in God has, over time, been weakened by our money-conscious society. Our money-driven society. Where money is central, God is peripheral. And in our world, money is central. Why is money central? Money is central because almost everything in our world has been commoditized. Somebody say commoditized. Commoditized means that almost everything has been packaged as a commercial product to be sold. Everything, almost everything. For you to have clothes on your back, what you had to do? You had to buy it. For you to have food in your cupboards, what did you have to do? You had to buy it. For you to have a shelter over your head, what did you have to do? You had to rent or to mortgage or buy it. Almost everything has been commoditized. And because everything almost in our material world has been commoditized, that now means that you have to have money to get it. Well, if I need to have money to get almost everything, what does that mean? That means I have to think about money to be about almost everything. Money, therefore, has become central. Money reliance, though, becomes God defiance. And you have to rely on money. There is a certain degree of defying of God that might happen in your life. So let's talk about the world before money. There was a world before money. And what would happen in that world before money is, I would have a chicken on my farm. And I would need some cheese. So I would take my chicken, maybe 2 or 3, over to my neighbor who had made some cheese from the milk from the cow he has, and say, listen, I need about a bucket of cheese. And he would say, well, I need some chicken. And he would say, for 2 of your chicken, I would give you a bucket of cheese. And so I would give him my 2 chicken, and he would give me my bucket of cheese, and I would take my bucket of cheese back home. But then I forgot. I need, for my cheese, I need a little bit of salt, but I don't have any salt. So I go to my other neighbor and say, neighbor, I need some salt. And he says, yeah, but I need some cheese. And so I would say, okay, well, I need just a cup of salt. And he would say, okay, well, I just need a cup of cheese. He says, so if you give me a cup of cheese, I'll give you a cup of salt. And I would give him my cup of cheese, and he'd give me my salt, and I'd go back home, and I would take so now I have my chicken, my cheese, and my salt. Now, as people started to domesticate and do a lot more of that, it ran into difficulty, because now the fella say, I need 10 buckets of cheese. The guy say, yeah, well, 1 bucket is 2 chickens, so therefore I need 20 chickens from you. And it became a little difficult to have 20 chickens, loading 20 chickens, crossed by my neighbor, so I can get 10 buckets, because I can't bring the buckets of cheese back. So all of that became a little difficult. So what they decided to do, that was called bartering, by the way. And what they decided to do is, listen, bro, this is becoming crazy. I tell you what. You see this piece of paper here? I'm going to write on this, worth 1 chicken. So now this paper I could take to him, so I could take 10 paper. You know, paper a little easier to put in my pocket and take to him. And I could take the same paper to my neighbor, get the salt, and hence money was created. It wasn't always paper. Sometimes it was just shells or different things. And so that's what they would do. They would exchange the money that way. So money became a way to, 1, trade, exchange with each other. 2, store value and measure wealth. Now guess what? Let me have a tricky little bit. Money has no intrinsic value. $1 has no value in and of itself. So anytime you see a fella kill another fella for $100, he kill a fella for nothing. Because money has no value. None whatsoever. The only value that money has is your willingness to accept it from me for a value. If you decide that ain't worth nothing, it ain't worth nothing. So money is essentially a contract between you and I, backed by the government. It's all it is. It's got no intrinsic value. So the source of money is mankind. Now, when it comes to trust, remember that expression. The source of money is mankind. Now let's talk about God. right? God, you know who that is, right? Because you're looking at me a little strange. You know the creator of all the universe. God has value in himself. In fact, there is no way to define value outside of God. So all value exists in God. Right? And a promise from God comes from God. And is backed by God. That don't mean nothing to you. A promise from me to give you $1 million is as good as what? Yeah, because I don't have $1 million. Not only do I not have $1 million, even if I had $1 million, your trusting me for $1 million depends on my integrity. Mine? Please. Yours? Please. Because I know no one in here has been lied to before. And I know none of you have lied before. Come on, I know that. This is a perfect audience. $1 is a promise from a man to pay. It depends on the man being alive, which he cannot control. It depends on a man's character, which we know can be flawed. It depends on a man's resources, which we know can come and go, can ebb and flow. But a promise from God is a promise from God and depends on God. If God fails a single promise, we can take the Bible, throw it in the fire, burn it up, because none of this makes sense. If he lies, we can forget all of this. So a promise from God, you can't take to the bank. You got to take it back to God. Because the bank ain't nothing. I'm getting somewhere. Just follow me. So the value of God can only come from God. It can only be protected by God. And can only be stored by God. The source of God is God. See, if I depend on the thing that depends on something else, then I'm depending on the thing which the thing depends on. So my dependence is doubled in terms of risk, because I have to first depend on the thing and on the thing depends on. And both of them being flawed means I have a double flawed situation, which means I have a double risk in my life. But to depend on the thing that depends only on itself is to depend on one thing. And therefore I need but check only the one thing. And if the one thing is all right, then I am all right if I am depending on that one thing. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. With all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Trust in God we trust. In money we trust. In God we trust. In money we trust. So this is the great choice. In a capitalist modern world such as we live, this is the great choice. Will you trust money or will you trust God? Now, I don't want you to get spiritual with me. Most of us struggling up in here. Before you give me that hallelujah shout and talk with your Shanda Mataya and Hinda Mahanda, most of us, our emotional state reflects the situation of our cash. Has nothing to do with an unchanging God. If our cash tight, we tight. Doesn't matter how much we come to Relevant Kingdom and worship. No matter how much we pray, we are as our cash is. I'm not no sense I try play with you and make it up for you. I know the life I live in. I know that we are struggling this way. Our kindness, our emotional stability, our anxieties are reflections of our financial condition. And our children know it, and our spouses know it, and our friends know it, and our neighbors know it, and our peers know it, because they can tell that something is amiss. The money tight. And if you are fearful, it means that your trust is waning. Because fear and trust don't go together. You put a child in a room to sleep at night. They say, "Oh, mommy, don't turn the light off. Don't shut the door." You turn the light on, open the door, and you lay on the side of them, they straight. Why? They trust you, and the fear wins. If you broke and fearful, it means your trust in God is waning. You can be broke and concerned, but you can't be broke and fearful, because it says something about where your trust is. Anyway, I can help you out with that too. Bishop, I hope I'm doing all right. I'm trying to help them, I'm trying, sir. So let me back you up a little bit. Life is the real value in this world. It is your ultimate asset. Because without it, you can't earn and you can't owe. See, you here, and you have more interest in the money you earn than the life with which you earn the money. But if I snap the life from you, the earning stop. If I snap the life from you, the owing stop too. But I know you want the life. Right? I know you want the life. Because some people talking about, child, please me. I waiting to go on Jesus. You just try threaten their life. They'll be trying to live and live. You let them go to the hospital with some noise, please fix me. Help me, doctor, please. Because they don't want nobody want to die. Life is the prize. Life is the asset. Life is the real value. There's no dollar, no car, no house, no amount of cars or houses you could trade for your life. Jesus said, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his one soul? Listen to me, you missed that. What Jesus was saying was that your life is worth more than the whole world. But you and I often try to trade our lives for a piece of the world. For a piece of it. Just a piece. And it's worth more. So what $1 is really worth is how much time of your life you are prepared to put into earning it. I teach young people this. I said, how much Air Jordan cost? Say $180, and that's the cheap ones. Okay, so Air Jordan cost $180. So let's say you're earning $5 an hour. That's minimum wage roundabout. So if you divide 180 by 5, that means that you have to work 36 hours for an Air Jordan. Now I want you to think about this. This me not. This you young man, young woman. This you waiting for your Air Jordan. 1 hour pass. 1 hour. 2 hours. You got 34 more to go. 34 more to go. To do what? Go in the store and pick up one pair of Jordans. Guess what? In China, they make them for $2. I'm telling you, that's how much they made them for. That's how much they made them for. And so, really, we have got to ask ourselves. I want you to check this. That might, but that's the decision you have to make. So before I give you a principle on which I want to encourage you to operate, I want to give you the best money advice I could give you. And it is the one I give to my children. Number one, never spend more than you earn. All of us have done this. And if you've ever had to borrow, the reason is because you are spending more than you earn. There's no other way to do it. There's no other way to have to borrow than to spend more than you earn. Because when you spend more than you earn, you end up in what we call deficit. And the deficit has to be paid for somehow. In this life, you're going to have to pay for it. And the way we tend to pay for it is we borrow. We borrow from auntie, uncle, friend, or we go to the bank and borrow, or we take a credit card and we borrow. And it then therefore leads to debt. Okay, so this is, when you see me, Zhivargo show online, I didn't live this spending more than you earn. I didn't live that too. So I'm giving you advice. Avoid debt as much as possible. This is what I tell my sons. I told them, I said, listen to me, your daddy didn't have enough debt for me and you. No need for you to go repeat that. I borrowed enough so that y'all could not have to borrow. Don't do that. Because what is debt? Debt is borrowing from tomorrow so you can have more today. That's what debt is. Debt says, okay, I have $50, but I want to eat $60 worth of food. But that means I need $10 more. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow this and then agree to pay it back later. So that when I get into tomorrow, not only will I have to earn $50 for my new food, I'm going to have to earn $10 more to pay for the old food. Yeah. And that's a challenge oftentimes. Right? Avoid debt as much as possible. It is a routine for us in this life that we live. If we're going to get a house, we're going to borrow. That's not a bad debt. So nobody should think that, okay, I'm saying don't borrow. If you are not going to get a home of your own these days, unless you got a rich uncle. Or unless you hit the number. Or unless the Lord bless you. Generally, most of us are going to go to a financial institution and borrow. That's all right. Sometimes you have medical emergencies and they require money you don't have. You may have to go to the bank and borrow. If you have to make a decision that your child needs to go to university and you want them to go to university and you don't have the money, if you can borrow for that, that's a good debt. What you should never do. Everybody write this down. There's something called debt to income ratio. Debt to income, meaning that if your debt is $10 and your income is $100, your debt to income is 10%. That's the ratio. When you calculate what you're paying in debt on a monthly basis versus what you are earning on a monthly basis, all you got to do is write this out. You can study it later on if you want. Never let it be more than 35%. Never, ever, 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 ever. I don't care what the banks say. The banks tell you 45%, but don't never let it go beyond 35%. Never, ever, ever, ever. Don't let it happen. Trust your boy when I tell you. Don't let it happen. Here's what's going to happen. See, if your debt to GDP, if your debt to income ratio is too high, the minute you lose your job, poverty is your claim. Because when your income stops, everybody coming looking for you. Everybody coming there. You see they were smiling with you when you get that loan, talking about how sweet you are and how nice you are. They ain't going to be smiling with you. Where our money? But if you have a manageable debt to income ratio, you might lose your job, but in time you may find your job, and what's going to happen is the amount of arrears you build up isn't going to be as high, as much. So keep it as low as you can, but don't let it go over 35%. If you're a young person, listen to your boy. Don't let it go over 35%. I don't care. No car, no rent, no mortgage, nothing. Don't let it go over 35%. If you are heavily indebted, and some of us know that. And heavily indebted doesn't really mean you have like the amount of debt you have necessarily. Because if you have $2 million worth of debt but you're a billionaire, that ain't no money. But if you only making $10,000 and you got $5,000 worth of debt, then it's a challenge. If you're heavily indebted and you're trying to get out, there's a couple of things you have to do. One, don't run from your loan people. Run to your loan people. Listen to me. No sense you rolling over in your bed with all that anxiety, sweating, and you know you can't sleep because you know they calling, you know they emailing and texting you. Don't run from them. Go straight to them and say, now listen, I saw your call. I really can't pay. I promise you I can't pay. I ain't gonna lie to you. Your boy can't pay. Let's can we work something out? Can we do a little low interest only payment for the time? Can we forgive 1 or 2 months? What can we do? Let's work something out. Now sometimes you get to the point where you can't work nothing out, and they say, well, we can't work nothing out, and you say to them, well, if we can't work nothing out, you see that piece of collateral you have there? Listen, call it. I know how y'all go. All y'all looking at me strange. Now, sometimes you got to lose some stuff so you can revamp your life. Life is more than raiment. Sometimes you have got to say to the bank, with all my heart, I want to do better. With all my heart, I don't want to lose this. But I'm so sorry. Let's agree that you can have it now, so I can start to rebuild my life. I ain't telling you nothing I know nothing about. I lose some stuff. I tell them, listen, it ain't working out. I ain't gonna lie to you. You have to do what you have to do. And then you have to make adjustments to your life. If you are living above the hog, high on the hogs, live low on the hog. So I get your family involved. I go to my children and tell them, listen, things a little rough. So ain't no more Captain Crunch, we can eat post. I'm sorry that we can't go on vacation this year. We can vacation right around this apartment, this house right here. I'm not trying to hide nothing from my children because I don't want them walking. One of my children asked me one day if we rich. I said, you don't have a nickel nor a dime. I got some money. If we rich, you better go make some money for yourself. Keep the family involved. Husbands, keep your wife informed. Keep them involved. Let them know what's going on. Don't pretend like everything is everything. Everything ain't everything. Let them know. We got to cut some things out. I used to get to the point where I make one of my children. I say, you can be the prime minister, a light bill. And if we get some savings, I can give the money to you. No, because you got to get them involved, because that pain of that frustration of trying to chase and pay that bill, man, that rough. Avoid that as much as you can. Right? Why you all speeding ahead of me? Put something away in an investment plan. Put some away. 10%, 20%. Now, you know what I mean by put away. Because Bahamians, you're a little tricky. Put away mean take $100 out and go get it next week. That ain't putting nothing away. Putting away means put it away and you don't want to see it for decades. That's what it means. Put it away. Now, if you know there are some financial institutions in this country, they do investment advising for you. You could go to them and say, listen, I want to give you $100 every month, $500 every month, and I want you to put this away, and tell them what Zhivargo say. Put this away in a mutual fund for me. Tell them, you hear me? Put it away in a mutual fund, and I don't want to see it no more for 30 years. Let me tell you what the banks do. The banks compound interest on you, so that for half your mortgage, you're only paying them interest and your principal ain't going nowhere. And then you wonder, half your mortgage payment years, you go back and, Lord, this is how much I borrow. Ain't going much place. That's all right. That's how they do it. We're going to flip it on them. When you put your money away, it compounds in reverse for savings for you, so that that money becomes plenty money for you 30 years from now. So just put it away. We don't do enough of that in the Bahamas. So most of us, our retirement plan is the hope that our children have a job. But if you put some money away for 20, 30 years, them same children, you tell them, now listen, I love you, like to see y'all. I get on a cruise. I'm see y'all. Mommy, you need some money? Money, no, brother. I straight. I've been putting this away for a long time. I didn't put you all through college and do everything I have to do. And by the way, when you bring your children by, just let them stay for 6 o'clock, because after 6 o'clock, they got to go, because I don't have no place for them to sleep. Not around here. I'm going on my cruise. Remember, your life is your principal asset, right? With it, you earn everything. Invest in your own improvement over and over. Because if with your life you are earning the money you are earning now, if your life has more skillfulness, will you not earn more money? You should always, if you are a young person and you just start working, you better be looking for seminars and certification programs that you could attend all over the world. Don't make no difference where they save up your couple dollars. Go fly to Chicago, do the certification program, and come back and tell them, listen, you need that problem solved. I your person. That's how you get paid, by solving people's problems. That's how you get paid, by solving people's problems. So invest in your own improvement. And then build systems that can earn money for you. Meaning business. Get in some businesses. Because what you want to be is like, you want to be like the general. Anybody ever see the general, the colonel in Kentucky Fried Chicken? No, have you ever seen him in there? No. Because the colonel dead and still making money. You have a system when you don't have to be in it to make money. And that's where you want to be. Okay, that's my best money advice. Let's go back to church now. If you follow the money advice I gave you, you will have money that might require a trust to protect it. Anybody know what a trust is? Okay, let me fill you in on a secret, and then we could go home. In the Bahamas, this little country of little under 400,000 people, this little country right here, we manage more than $300 billion of other people's money. Very wealthy people come to the Bahamas with their wealth, and they come and look for something called a trust institution. And they ask these people to set up a trust for them. Here's why. If you live in the United States of America and you're wealthy, people always looking to sue you. Listen, McDonald's got sued because a woman ordered hot tea. And she sued McDonald's because the tea was too hot. They are walking around, you're a doctor, they walking around looking for some reason. I know that surgery ain't going well because I can still feel a little tingling right here. And so what these wealthy people do is they realize that they have to protect their wealth. But in the United States, they don't have the best vehicles to do that. So they come to places like the Bahamas. Let me tell you why. In the Bahamas, I could, by law, pass the ownership of this cell phone to her. So she legally owns my cell phone. So when you ask me, do you have a cell phone? I say, no, I do not. You ask her, does she have a cell phone? She says, yes. But she and I enter an agreement such that she can only use the phone for my benefit. You ain't hear me yet. So I don't make no calls. She make my calls. I don't receive any text. She received the text. But all the stuff that is happening on my behalf, but guess who owns the phone? Now, me and her have a little dispute. She decides she can sue me. What is she going to sue me for? My phone. Come on, boo. So she comes to sue me, and I say, well, I don't have a phone. I don't have no phone. Well, how you don't have no phone and I know you just get all your calls? I don't have no phone. She has to sue me because me and her have the dispute. She can't sue her. Listen to me. What I just set up with her is called a trust. Now here's the key. If she catch me giving instructions to her outside of what I instructed her in our agreement, she can say, well, the only way for you to instruct her is to control that, and therefore you do have a phone. Let's go to court, and the court will find me guilty. So I can't give her no instructions in this trust. I am the settlor. She is the trustee. What we have set up is called the trust. And that's what wealthy people do. Now, let me tell you something. The devil, yes, there's a devil, a thief, is always trying to sue us. He wants your most valuable asset, which is what? Your life. And if you own it, he can have access to it. But God has an offshore jurisdiction, like the Bahamas. And he has a trust company called Jesus the Christ. And what he says to you and I, take your life, transfer it to him, and he can and will use it, manage it solely for your benefit. So when the enemy comes to sue you, you tell him, have no life. For the life I live not unto myself, but Christ. What life have I, Satan? I have no life. You want it? You got to go deal with the trustee. Take it up with the trustee. My job, however, is to give no instructions to Jesus, the trustee. And this is why the scriptures and the song says, trust and obey. For there is no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. When the scriptures tells us to trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not to our own understanding, in all our ways acknowledge him and he will direct our path, what he is saying is go to the trustee. Set up your arrangement and agreement with the trustee and allow him to use his wisdom, allow him to use his power to manage your life, to manage my life, so that we can achieve the abundant living that he desires. This is what we are required to do, because then when we have this trust arrangement with Jesus, we are following his instructions with respect to the money and things we have. And when he says to us, give something to her, to him, we do so. He is the trustee. He knows what he's saying. When he tells us save, hold something back, we hold it back. When he says give it all away, we give it all away, because we know and understand he is the trustee. Now, you know, in the Bahamas, if a trust company fails, all them people's assets might be at risk. If you give God your life, how can he fail? If God loses your life, he'll make a new one for you. Because he can. He made the first one for you. So trust money. Trust God. There is no decision to be made, young man. None whatsoever. And I know what we see. We see people flourishing. We see people prospering. We see people appearing to be all right. I am telling you, if you wait on the Lord, if you wait on the Lord, when your change come, it'll come in a way they cannot fathom. Trusting in the Lord is not a ticket out of hardship. I can tell you that. It's not a guarantee that you will not suffer loss. It's not a guarantee that you will not have hardship. It's not a guarantee that you will not face challenges. What it is a guarantee you will come through every challenge, you will arise above every circumstance, and that you will succeed in the end. Guaranteed, because God cannot fail. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. God bless you is my prayer.